This is Talk Radio with your host, the Reverend Dr. Gilberto Rosado. Today we'll be talking about the unrest and the troubles that plight our beloved countrymen and families in this nation. Join us. You know, this is it's a terrible tragedy. Just a terrible tragedy. What's going on in this country? Now, here we'll be talking about that in talk radio, news, commentary, entertainment. We've been watching these news reports here, and this is the morning after the bonfire, we could say. And it's not a light matter at all. This thing has been on the boiling plate for quite some time. I mean, it's just decades. Things hidden in the background and slowly simmering until we have these short explosions, and they're short explosions. This is just the tip of the iceberg. And I know that there's a lot of frustration out there. It's not really, it's not just what's going on or what the our friends and neighbors are feeling, and it's also the situation in this country. It's the frustration and fears. It's also the influences. Although we don't need those outside influences to cause people to riot, but especially in this atmosphere that we're living in these days, and imagery that we're bombarded with. I just Lord help us from even getting to that extreme. I'm not even going to mention it, so that I'm not the one to put it in anyone's mind. But things can get a lot worse, and something has to be done. I'm not speaking just to talk now. I would call this show Talk Radio. I'm very practical. I used to have a cat, and I called the cat, the name I gave the cat was cat in Spanish, actually. It's Gatita. And that was my cat's name. And sometimes my wife tells me, why don't you give it a regular name? I said, a regular name for a cat? What would that be? Cat. I think Adam named it appropriately, and so I named it again appropriately. But in either case, this is the practicality of things. So the talk radio, okay, we're talking. But it doesn't. It's not that we're just talking. I've prepared courses and resources for the communities. As many of you may know, I'm a minister. And I even have a church, a church outreach. I named it differently than the main church, just to address the problem within our Afro-American communities. And this, I know for a fact, as a psychotherapist, I've been studying and analyzing this situation for the longest. I've even gone abroad and have done macro studies to see also, I make comparisons between the United States and our communities, our ethnic communities, and the ethnicities in foreign countries. And I came to a realization that there is a baseline that needs to be addressed, which isn't being addressed, because of course those that are involved in addressing these baselines are themselves within that frame of mind, that mentality. And instead of being, in other words, they have not seen the light, to put a figurative speech to it, a figurative phrase. They've not seen the light. They have been, and they are still in the cave, so to speak. And they really don't know. They're of course they're leaders of the community, but they still, they're still in it. And with all the talking and all the things that they're trying to do, it's admirable. I understand that, but I can see, and I think we all can see, that they still don't have the hands on the pulse. They still are not in control, or at least they have not. And I don't mean to say control in that sense. I mean to say effectiveness. I don't think that, and I don't see, it's not issue me thinking, where's the fruit of it? I don't see that they having any, making any inroads. It seems to me that these churches, and as a minister, I will point that out. I'll call them out on that. The churches and other community leaders are just focused on, or able to deal with adequately, the aftermath. In other words, picking up the pieces. We're very good at picking up the pieces, but very poor in preventing and in intervening in a life of an individual, especially these young people, before they go off to diversions in life and in poor decision making, obviously. And this is what we're raising children that are lost. I think every parent, and especially in the communities that are affected, really understand what I'm talking about. And because why? Because when we were young, we were also, many of us, lost. We didn't have any idea what we're going to do in life, and basically we were at the mercy of whatever structures our government has put into place. And one of those structures, of course, is compulsory education. But depending on our individual circumstances and whatnot, that education may or may not be adequate, and the individual may or may not be receptive fully to that opportunity, but still, then, like I said, the church still singing on Sunday, or these other church beliefs on Saturday or Friday, whatever have you. And the community is really, there's no preventative and prevention given. Now it's offered. There are many organizations that have a mission, a preventive or preventative type of mission, but I don't see that they are effective. I believe that they reach out to those that are looking, of course, because you can't bring, you can show someone to water, but you can't force them to drink it, right? So that's true in that sense. But we have so many ways of preventing this waywardness before it becomes a real issue in their lives. I don't see that this is being done, and I say that because I have myself programs, I have courses. You're speaking about courses, you're talking about education, and that's not what a lot of these individuals are looking for as a remedy. But the bottom line is that education is the remedy, formal or even natural education. that is the remedy. Now, I just believe that our children are not being taught to learn. And I don't mean in school. We have this compulsory education, and we're trying to make them learn how to study and all that. But there's a lack of education in terms of the parents in helping the child learn from life. And I think that's the greatest teacher life is, and I think that is where most people are least capable of learning from, and I think it's because we are telling them that school education or formal education is the only education there is, and that is not true. Absolutely not. Because and again, and when we begin to put our emphasis on compulsory education, and we make it seem as if there's no other way that people learn, then of course, when a person has, for whatever reasons, and sometimes these are medical reasons, sometimes they are mental health issues involved that impede the ability to engage formal education. And then there are environmental factors, economics, and family composition, family history that creates barriers to learning in a formal setting. And then we have not emphasized and not given this child tools to learn from his environment, to learn natural learning is what I call it. And then of course you have a totally lost person with no purpose, and no reason to follow law or even have any type of morality, because of course there's no comprehension of its value. There's no appreciation for its value, because they see no value in themselves. They've been told that they have none. They've been told that since they cannot engage formal education, since the tests and their report cards are showing such a dismal proof and a dismal evidentiary situation, what else is a child supposed to do? We leave them back. The teachers, in their frustration, scold them. They're given so much negative schemata, and it's alarming to me because, and I think that education, and when we're teaching and training teachers to teach, they really need to get a heavy emphasis in psychology. In psychology, you're going to learn things like schemata. And schemata is formed from childhood, from the earliest engagements in formal education, and even at home. It doesn't have to be formal education, but in any engagement where learning is expected, we have the development of schemata, because it starts at home with the parent yelling at the kid, "Why are you so stupid? You can't do this, you can't do that." The child feels degraded. He's thrown into school. And then everyone has challenges in one area or another, and that's normal. And so, but the child feels once again degraded in some areas where he has difficulty in, and he's scolded again, and the tests, or you see the big 0 and the F's, and we have all of this negativity that forms. They go back home, and of course more negativity. Where is the child going to find any value in themselves? And we suffer them, and they suffer this, I should say. They suffer this all throughout, if they even reach the 12th grade. You think about it, it's 12 years of denigration, 12 years of not having or seeing value in themselves, 12 years of tests and report cards and teachers and parents, or a parent, or whatever that is, or a foster mom or whatnot, or the society telling them that they're stupid, and that they can't make it. And what do we expect, really? Really, what is expected? And you have the churches in the community, which all they want to do is sing. Let's come together and sing and pray and praise God. And so, is this going to be the future of a young man? Yes, what does he see? Just going to church on Sunday to pray and to praise God and to hear a sermon, and the preacher there in his, we have to say, in his fancy car and his fancy duds. What does this young person have to look forward to? And I do foster care. I've done it in New York. I do it now in Florida. And we certified in foster care and therapeutic care, by the way, which is we take care of most of these children that are having these issues, great issues. And so I know what I'm talking about. I see what they're suffering, and I see what they're trying to do, how they're trying to compensate for all of these years of negativity, schemata, years of abuse, neglect, years of being degraded and feeling socially insignificant. And then you lay on top of that their ethnicity. It's bad enough for white children, which are also in foster care. Yes, we do find them. Many different ethnicities are in the system. But I know that the African American has and complains of a lot of this racist type of perception, and I'm not saying that lightly. I think it's real. It's real when you see the fears being played out, and the police and those in authority really, not sensitive, because it may, you're not sensitive of what's happening. And I think that's something that needs to be understood. There's two problems here. The problem with the victim, they're living in fear and living degraded and in frustration all their life. And then also we have the enforcement, which, like the lady holding the scale, is blind to the reality that this person in front of them is scared. It's scared. It's not that they're unlawful. They're scared, and it's not that they are rebelling. It's that they fear. It is. They have to understand basic psychology that we either fight or flight. It's fight or flight, and I think they're getting F's all around, and not understanding this basic concept. If you have a position of power, then there's no need to prove it on a child. There's no need to prove it on someone that's running away in fear, because they've been raised in all this environment and in fear for their very existence, and without value in their lives. So, the police may see that, or enforcement agencies may see that as an affront to their authority. But let's stop being crybabies here. You have the authority. Fine, that's true. So don't feel that you're getting attacked. You have the authority. That's true. That's absolute. But when we have a population that has a perception that they have no value, that they have no worth, and that they feel that they are not respected in the eyes of those who have authority, You're dealing with someone who's frustrated. You're dealing with someone who has very little to live for. The authority is an authority in a civil society because, of course, without a civil society, you will have no authority. Authority cannot be established. So you have individuals who really don't have a basis for respecting authority. Now, I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that's the way it is. And this is what we see. So it seems very clear what is going on. I'll be back right after this message. Okay, we had a little technical difficulty there. This is a grave crime that's being handed to our people. Here, we'll be talking about that in talk radio, news, commentary, entertainment. This is the Reverend Dr. Gilberto Rosado. Thank you for tuning in. Forgive us for that little technical issue that we had before. But clean that up in future broadcasts. We were discussing the issues with our Afro-American brothers and friends and neighbors. And the communities in which they live. And it's like I said, we see it all the time. I have to suffer it in my attempts to try to get ministers and churches on board into our association. I run a church and a church council based on cognitive mentoring. This is cognitive mentoring where we help individuals, help families. We do intervention. It's educational. And we provide a lot of helps, even economic helps. You still have the problem with the churches and ministers is that they think that their church has it. You have Christians who just, believe churches should just preach the gospel. I had one fellow tell me the other day, just preach the gospel. Don't talk to... I posted a news item that people in the big cities, I don't know how many of you have saw that, people in big cities are suffering from loss of brain cells because of air pollution, and one of the main culprits of that is car emission. And the person got on my case saying, "Oh, I have family in this area, in this big city, and friends in that city. You shouldn't be promoting your broadcast." Saying, bringing that out and promoting your broadcast. This is, they said that I should just preach the gospel. The gospel is good news. And it's, if I know, and there's news, there's a scientific survey, because it's not even gossip. If it's a scientific survey, results, a study that shows that people are suffering in some way, any way it could be. Why shouldn't the gospel, the truth of God, include helping people in that are in need? It's totally ridiculous to not inform people through all the channels that I have that there may be danger, there may be something happening, there's a danger to their health. The other day I posted about the bird flu. There's danger out there. So I'm not supposed to say anything because I'm supposed to just preach the gospel? Well, okay, you guys have been preaching the gospel all this time. Look at what's happening in Baltimore. Look at what happened in Ferguson. Oh, this is all your gospel preaching. Where are the churches? What is happening? You understand? So where's the prevention? Yeah, you pick up the pieces. We have people marching, all the people marching, and they're singing their songs. It's wonderful. That's beautiful. But we need intervention and we need prevention. Okay? The church is not just there to do funeral services and to pray for the dead. We're here for the living. And so, this is again, the defense of keeping things the way they are, not speaking the truth, and this is what I really totally disagree with, and I believe that if we are going to be ministers of truth, then we need to present the truth, all the truth, and bring teaching, and so that's the ministry. And okay, so that the people need to understand that this is ministry, and what I'm doing now is ministry, because I'm sharing the truth with people, and not just people not waking up today and looking just to hear a gospel message. They need to hear the truth of what's happening in their life, and I think it's insincere, really. To question anything about what I'm doing. And actually, I'm calling the church to the table to begin to change the way it's doing what it's doing, because whatever it's doing, it's certainly not effective. And that's another show where we can talk about the effectiveness of the church, truly, in light of everything that's going on in the United States and outside of the United States, okay? But all of that's coming to a head soon. So what I'm saying is that churches and ministers should contact me, should contact our church, and begin to have a dialogue on how we can address the issue and bring the preventative measures and systems that I have already created. I've put them together. Right now they're in form of courses, but of course within our church council, associations, and affiliation, you can bring these resources in different ways into your communities. And they're there. They are effective because in the churches that we do have, and that in our own church ministry, it has really turned lives around. And I'm talking prevention. I'm not talking after they went to jail, or after they burned down the buildings, or after the mayhem and disaster. Before. And this is what needs to happen. And now, the work that has to be done is a lot. It's hard work, but I think that's why most people stay away from it. Most people don't want to hear my teachings that are 2 hours long. Most people just want to sing and dance. Okay, but then the result is what we have now in this country and in Baltimore and in the people. Okay, the singing and dancing is great, but this problem that, singing and dancing we do to forget about the problems, to put the problems aside. If all the church is doing is singing and dancing, then we're just part of the problem. We're not the solution. We're just providing them another place to go instead of the bar, right? But we're not healing the sick. That's not healing the sick. So, and that's not prevention. Teaching people, talking about their dirty hands, talking about their dirty faces, and showing them how to wash with soap. That's not what the church is doing. But our church is, my church is, and our church council has these things for resources to help ministers, those who want to become ministers. As I was speaking before, we have started the World Black Church for Power, Progress, and Peace. And And this church is part of the head church of ours and part of our church council. And basically, it's not just the church, like I was saying before. It's really a way to get the resources. It's a source, a fountain of education, ministry, counseling, and programs to help bring healing and preventive measures into the community. So if some church leaders would put off their blinders and take off the sandals from off their feet, amen, and want to deal with these problems in an effective way, and they should really need to contact me as soon as you can. So we'll put that out there. Find a way to email us. You can email me at Reverend Rosado, REVROSADO at gmail.com. REVROSADO at gmail.com. And let's begin to talk. On Facebook, you can find the page is the World Black Church for Power, Progress, and Peace. And then you have also my person on Facebook, Reverend Dr. Gilberto Rosado. Just look it up, do a little searching, and you'll find me. And otherwise, contact us through this radio ministry. Okay, so I think we have dealt with this in as brief as I could. There are solutions. The way people think, the way the church is set up, it doesn't allow this to happen. You then have prejudices against my ministry and my person. Whatever can be invented, the end result is that no help is given to the community. And I think it's the silliness, the politics, the jealousies. We're not, the church has to be united, and God has given talents, He's given gifts to different members, and the church needs to avail itself of that instead of being divisive and keeping separate. And this is the issue. The people suffer, and that's why we're here talking about it here. And talk radio with the Reverend Dr. Gilberto Rosado. News, commentary, and entertainment. Well, at times. My kind of entertainment. See you next time.